I've started this lesson with a completely empty system, which is a common position to find yourself in when you want to work with sources. This will also allow me to show you the many automated things the system does for you. Sources are used to get product and media data into PimSimple. You can access them under Settings, like so. If we create a new source by clicking the New Source button, we are presented with a choice. This allows us to choose between product data and media data. If you want to jump ahead in the video to where I import media, please go to 5 minutes 55 seconds. But for now, let's begin by adding some product data into the system. The first thing we need to do is choose the location of this data. This could be a local file, a remote file accessed via a URL, cloud storage, such as Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, or OneDrive Business, or a source integration, such as Shopify or Magento. If we choose Remote URL, we can enter the URL of our file, like so. We can change the protocol and we could add details for port numbers and login details, but we'll just leave this to the defaults. It might be useful to look at this data in a spreadsheet at this point so I can explain what it contains. It's an 11-column text file in a comma-separated format. The first column contains a product ID which is unique. The next are columns for the product name, brand, and range name. Then we have 3 columns containing category data for each product. Then columns for color and price. And finally, a column with a URL to an image for the product, and a product description column with some dummy text in it. So let's go back to PimSimple and look at how it displays this information. We have a list of headings that match those of the data that we can scroll down. On the left of the list is a column number or letter column, then the name of the column, automatically taken from the data. You can click this to edit it, and the system will also suggest existing attribute names to map to this column. Underneath that, we have an option to ignore this column of data and not import it. And next to that, a pop-up which allows us to choose what type of attribute is needed for this data. Next along, we have 4 options. We can identify which columns contain a product key or a parent key if it contains child data, and we can also set what context to import data into. Finally, on the right, the system shows the first 6 items of data so you can validate everything is correct. We need to tell the system which is the key field. This data doesn't contain a hierarchy of data, so we don't need to worry about parent and child options. So we can just click Product Key for our unique ID attribute. Everything else has been automatically chosen for us. The system has correctly ascertained that the 3 category columns contained category data and highlighted them in orange. And it's also assumed that the image URL column contains a link to media and highlighted that in blue. There are a number of options at the top. These are Update Only. Clicking this won't add any new products. It will simply update what is already in the system. This defaults to Off. Manage Selection. This will automatically create or update a selection for this import with the data we're about to bring in. This defaults to On. Manage View. This automatically creates or updates a view for this import with the data we're about to bring in. This defaults to On. File has header row. Clicking this will take the first row of data and use it for attribute names, and not import that row as product data. This defaults to On. Manage Sibling Order. This is used for child data. Clicking this will maintain the order of children based on the order they appear in the file, rather than the more normal option, where you choose an attribute such as price to order children. This defaults to Off. Under that, we have the 3 final options. Skip Rows. This is used to miss out data at the start of the file if it contains more than a single line of header data. You can choose a date format. The system defaults to year, month, day, hour, minute, seconds. And finally, if you have any columns that contain list data, you can tell the system what character is used to delimit the values in the list. Phew, right, that was a lot to cover. But the most important takeaway from all that is I didn't need to click anything apart from tell the system which is the key field. That was it. I clicked one thing and the system created attributes, added product data, created a view and selection for me, and just painlessly did everything automatically. We can review the file mapping, give everything one final check, and then the last thing is to set a schedule for when to pull this data in. If this was an import I wanted to do on a regular basis, I would alter the settings here, and the system would set this as a scheduled job that it would repeat. But this is just a one-off, so I'll just choose Now. Finally, I need to give the source a name and click Start Import to make the magic happen. If we give it a couple of seconds, the system imports the product data. It finds the images online, links them to the products, gives the images thumbnails, creates a category tree, populates it with products, creates a view to show the attributes used in the import, and finally creates a selection to show the products and media found in the import. All this was done from a simple text file. By just clicking a couple of boxes and buttons, we created a fully functional PIM. So that's the product sources done. Let's clear the system again and create a media source instead. So the same as last time, we click Sources in the settings, click New Source, but this time we click the Media button. Since PimSimple doesn't store any media within it, only reference it, we need to choose where in the cloud to look for the media, and we do that by setting up an integration. We have a choice of 4 providers: Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, and OneDrive Business. So I'm going to use Dropbox, and I need to give this integration a name, so I'll stick with Dropbox. I need to authenticate the connection, so we'll briefly leave PimSimple to go through Dropbox's login screens. Once I've completed this, I'm directed back to PimSimple, and I have my new Dropbox integration available. The next thing I need to do is choose the folder on Dropbox I want to import media from. I only have one folder to make it easy to see, but normally you'd see a much more complicated array of folders. Just like with products, I can choose a schedule of when I want the system to check this folder for new or amended images. So I'm going to say daily at 1:30 a.m. I get the chance to give it a name, but I'll stick to the automatic name, which is based on the name of the folder. And that's it. The system will import all the media it finds in that folder at 1:30 a.m. And when it's finished, it will go and check for any additional or amended files in the early hours of the morning of each subsequent day. It's that simple. Sources is a big area of the system, and there are a lot of fiddly little options to go through. But the big takeaway from this lesson is how quickly, seamlessly, and effortlessly you can create sources to bring in both your product and media data. I hope you gained some insight into sources in this lesson. Please check out our other videos to learn more.